Welcome to another episode of our Transformers podcast. This is your host, Sean, and
Charlie.
And Thomas.
And you're listening to Sparkcast.
Sparkcast.
So, before we begin, though, I wanted to say, so I actually got to see Cybertronic Spree in concert, and that was really fun. If you don't know who they are, they dress up as characters from they dress up as characters from Transformers. The two vocalists are dressed up as RC and Rodimus Prime, and the people on guitar are Unicron and
Soundwave,
the faces guy, one with the lots of faces. God, I just forgot his name as I was about to say it.
I have not seen.
God, they control the Shockticons in the movie. They got the many faces that spin around like they have multiple personalities.
Headmaster.
No, oh my God.
That's a good guess.
Like Quintessons. That's who it is. And on drums is Shockwave. But they also had a guy dressed as Soundwave that was on the stage jumping around a lot to energize the crowd and dancing and doing stuff.
Right, that's right.
It was pretty fun. Like they start out with playing the movie theme, the Transformers theme from the movie, and then they go on to play some other stuff. I have not played Hades, but they played the instrumental theme from Hades, and they sang like Heart's Barracuda and that Valhalla song from the 70s, so I can't think of the artist right now, and two songs from the soundtrack of Transformers also, and a few others. One thing was funny, they played the Doom music with their guitars while they sang the Power Rangers theme. I think they had edited the Doom theme in such a way so that it was similar to the theme song of Power Rangers, which was really funny. But yeah, it was really fun. I was right there at the front and got to watch them at MagFest this year, MagFest 2023.
Did Soundwave bust out some Lenny Kravitz stuff going on?
No, he would usually dance, throw balloons into the crowd, or spin some light things.
How were the actual costumes?
What's that?
How was the quality of the costumes?
Yeah, the costumes are really good. The vocalist who dresses RC and does her voice is really good at singing a lot of those. Like she was really good at singing that hard song.
Barracuda.
And yeah, and a few other things. So it's like she's really good at doing, from what I saw, a lot of the 80s like rock star people. If she could probably sing any Pat Benatar song really well.
All right, so you're telling me the next time I go and I see them, she's gonna be singing a bunch of songs from Pris's album.
But
Bubblegum Crisis joke for you guys.
Yes, that no one else will get because no one cares about Bubblegum Crisis except me. Yeah, so today we have the last United Kingdom audio cassette story out of 4. We have previously listened to The Terror of Mount Sheila, Bumblebee to the Rescue, and Menace at the Dam. And our final UK audio story, no book, if this was a cassette story only, is called Espionage! 5 exclamation marks.
Why is it the last one? Did the guy who did all the voices expire?
No, it's just they made 4 they made 4 in the Europe only that I don't think we got in America.
They realized what they were doing was frivolous and futile.
Well, remember, it's just the one guy who voices all the characters, I think.
Yeah,
I can't remember if that's.
Yeah, I think he did all of them.
Okay,
I think 4 is a reasonable set of episodes for what they were. Weird, but okay.
So anyway, let's begin with the story. I'll be pausing it every 5 minutes so that we can make some comments or need to catch up to process what is happening.
Espionage. The Decepticons were angry. Very angry indeed. On 3 occasions over the past weeks, they had been made to look foolish by their enemies, the Autobots. First, there had been the business of the volcano. Then the ridiculous situation when they had to release the Earth's slaves because of Bumblebee's courage. And finally, the last straw, their utter defeat and indignity at the Stanley Lake Dam. Megatron, their leader, was not only angry, he was worried too. His motto, peace through tyranny, was not proving to function. He knew that some of the Decepticons were grumbling behind his back at his leadership. He knew, too, that Starscream was as anxious as ever to replace him as leader, and was quietly stirring up trouble among the Decepticon ranks. He also knew that he had to take some positive action to restore his place firmly and squarely as leader again. He held a top-level meeting of some of his commanders and warriors. Starscream, the sneaky Skywarp, Laserbeak, the vicious Ravage, still smoldering from his defeat at the dam, Soundwave, and Rumble, always loyal to his leader and anxious to please him. Megatron spoke quietly and firmly. Fellow Decepticons, I have decided that the time has come to strike at our arch-enemies, the Autobots. The time is at hand to put a finish to their interfering actions against us. We shall destroy them, and then conquer these feeble, backward Earth people, take what we can of their resources, and return to Cybertron, all-conquering. Rumble called. Well said, O great Megatron! The others muttered that they all agreed, and it was not before time that firm action was to be taken. Megatron continued. We have to face up to the fact, whether we like it or not, that the Autobots are expert fighters, and not the easiest of adversaries. Silence greeted this, but the very silence intimated that they agreed with his statement. So, Megatron went on, we must defeat them by other means than full frontal attacking warfare. Starscream spoke up. Ever since we have been fighting them, I have been saying that we should rely more on guile and speed rather than brute force, have I not? The Decepticons agreed, which made Megatron even more angry, because he knew it was true. But Rumble, always anxious to be in favor with Megatron, commented, It's all very well saying these things, Starscream, but action over the matter would be more advantageous than talk. Espionage! It was Ravage speaking. Espionage is the best way to do it. If we could lull them into a false sense of security, find out what their plans are, we could surely destroy them with ease. Megatron turned to him. Continue, he commanded. Ravage did as ordered. If one of us could infiltrate their ranks, gain their trust and confidence, and then keep us informed of all their plans, it would be simple. Rumble said, That's all very well, but how and who? Starscream spoke up quickly. I will tell you how, and I will tell you who. We're listening, said Soundwave. Go on, we're listening. Starscream, fully committed now, and conceited as ever, said, Who? Me. How? By my going to the Autobots, telling them I am no longer willing to serve under Megatron, and wish to join their forces. There was silence for a moment. They all knew there was a degree of truth in this, as Starscream's greatest wish was to replace Megatron as leader. But they also knew of his cold-blooded hatred of the Autobots, and that he would be willing to practice any deception, no matter how underhanded, to conquer them. His motto, Conquest is made of the ashes of one's enemies, bore this out. Megatron spoke first. Right, Starscream. That's how we will do it. Now let us discuss details of the plan. So the Decepticon leaders gathered together and talked for a long time of how Starscream would communicate any information he gained back to them, and how they would get in touch with him, and what his cover story would be to gain the Autobots' confidence, and many, many other matters relating to the deception. It was with some surprise that Cosmos, on guard at the Ark a few days later, heard a signal from Starscream, asking if he could have an interview with Optimus Prime and the Autobot leaders. When he reported this, they could hardly believe their hearing. Are you sure you didn't make a mistake? Ron asked Cosmos. Of course I didn't, replied Cosmos. It was definitely Starscream. Optimus Prime interrupted. All right. Signal back that we will see him, but everybody must be on their guard. We all know the craftiness of this particular character. So Cosmos returned Starscream's signal and guided him into the Ark area of Mount St. Hilary. At the entrance to the Ark, 6 Autobots were waiting to take him inside. They were all very alert and ready for the slightest false move on the part of the well-known Decepticon Air Commander. They took him to Optimus Prime, who was waiting with several other Autobot commanders and leaders. Starscream stood facing them. Optimus Prime spoke first. "Do you come with a message from your treacherous leader, Megatron, O Decepticon?"
"No, Optimus Prime," Starscream replied firmly. "I do not come with a message from him. I come with a message from myself, to you only."
Seeing the puzzled looks from the Autobots, he continued,
"You described Megatron just now as a treacherous leader. You are correct. He is treacherous. I have discovered certain facts about him that have made me lose all confidence in his integrity and ability to lead the race of Decepticons. I realize now that only if the Autobots win our war will there ever be peace in Cybertron."
Optimus Prime was silent for a while, and then, "What has he done to make you take such a drastic change in opinion?"
"I have discovered that he has been plotting to conquer you Autobots, enslave as many Earth people as he can, and take them back to Cybertron as slaves. But even more treacherous from my point of view is that he has arranged that when the time comes to return to Cybertron, he will destroy those of us among the Decepticons who will not follow his orders to the letter and dare to disagree with some of his objectives. And I am at the top of his list to be exterminated."
Starscream finished his story and looked around. The Autobots were listening intently. Starscream could see the inside of the Ark for the first time, and was impressed with the amount of repairs that had been done. He thought to himself how important it was now for his fellow Decepticons to conquer these Autobots. Finally, Optimus Prime spoke up. "We hear your story, Starscream, and would like to discuss it further. I shall call a meeting of my fellow commanders here, and come back to you with our views." Then he called a number of his senior Autobots, and retired to a distant private chamber in the Ark, leaving Starscream under the guard of 6 Autobot warriors. Once inside the chamber, Optimus Prime asked, "Well, what do you think?"
What do you all think of this story right now?
This actually seems like a good story. It's like true to the characters. I'm pretty shocked. The last story was more like just traditional prose with a lot of
Was that
descriptive
they talked?
imagery.
I think the last one was they talked for half the episode before doing anything.
Yeah, but then they described a lot of stuff like with just the environment and the atmosphere, setting the
Yeah.
scene, but there wasn't much action at all.
Just the way that he said Starscream has an interview, I just imagine Starscream pulling out a resume going, Optimus, I wish to join your ranks. Here is my resume. And he's just like, what references do you have? It's like, well, I've killed a lot of your comrades pretty quickly throughout the war.
That whole dynamic is kind of weird anyway, with Starscream basically saying that he's coming to you guys because he's being targeted. Well, he talks about, humanity becoming enslaved or whatever, but he immediately pivots to, well, Megatron's going to kill me for disobeying. It's not really making himself out to be like trustworthy. It's more like you're just trying to save yourself.
Yeah, but it does indicate that, they probably wouldn't believe Starscream if he was trying to say, oh, he's going to infect Cybertron with all these Earth creatures. They have to make it about him to make the story believable because they already know his personality.
Actually, yeah, that is fair.
I just remember the beginning was so funny. I just imagined Megatron sitting around going, putting on some glasses and going, today's Decepticon budget meeting. Shockwave, how much funding do we have for the rest of this month? And then Shockwave's on a keyboard going, oh, let me see, Megatron. We have enough for 6 attacks on power plants this month. But yeah.
Is this the first time that we've done a recording and we've heard the name Cosmos?
Yes, I think so.
He is a season 2 Autobot. I'm surprised he's here. Yeah, it's like one of our books we looked at had a season 2 Autobot in it too once before, just randomly. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like they must have gotten some of the stuff early for who was going to show up in season 2, or it released like a month or two before season 2 aired or something.
Yeah, I was kind of confused at first. The way that the guy was pronouncing it made me think it was Cosmos, like Kasmas.
No, it's Cosmos.
It's Cosmos. Yeah.
He turns into a flying saucer because when you
Saucer.
say robot in disguise, you say take a vehicle that even humans would know should not be here.
So is he replacing what's his face? What is his name? The big shuttle guy.
No, God, I thought of a space shuttle, but Jetfire /
Jetfire.
Skyfire.
Starfire.
Yeah,
Jetfire.
they wrote him out, so he doesn't show up in season 2 because of the whole lawsuit stuff.
Oh, okay, so he's replaced by this guy, essentially.
Yeah, I think Skyfire's last episode was one or two of the episodes we saw previously, / in the future, since it's like 4 episodes from now, even though we already recorded it.
Lawsuit, was he supposedly a character in another franchise?
Yeah, because Skyfire was his character model came from that one anime series that Robotech used. So Robotech came to Macross. I think Macross. So Robotech comes to America and they make all these action figures, but the one action figure they can't make is the design that looks like Skyfire because Hasbro had already gotten the rights to release him in America as a figure before they knew this company would pick up the show. And also it's a competing company, so they just thought it'd be easier to write him out as well, I think, after the first season.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated than that. We talked about it early on in our Skyfire like character spotlight a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll have to have you listen to our early Sparkcast episode because I've forgotten all about it now. And
yeah, that seems kind of important. I'll have to look into that.
yeah, Cosmos turns into a UFO and he's an Autobot. Do you guys want to continue with the story?
Yeah,
Yep.
Let's go for it.
Once inside the chamber, Optimus Prime asked, "Well, what do you think?" Windcharger was first to answer. "If he genuinely has turned against his fellow Decepticons, and particularly his leader, he will have information which could be very useful to us." Sunstreaker chipped in. "Yes, and he has considerable experience. Don't forget, he was their air commander and is their fastest flyer." Huffer grumbled quietly. "Yes, and is one of their most ruthless, cold-blooded villains. I don't want anything to do with him." Jazz agreed. "He's not my style at all. Even if he has changed his ideas, he's not my style at all." Optimus Prime looked at Bumblebee. "What do you think?" he said. Bumblebee just shook his head and commented, "I don't like it." "And you, Prowl?" went on Optimus Prime. "What do you say?" Prowl was silent for a moment, then, "Starscream, I believe, dislikes his leader. Every robot from Cybertron knows that it is his ambition to be the Decepticon leader himself. But they also know that he hates us. All his life he has proved that over and over again. I don't trust him. I don't believe him." Jazz chipped in. "The Earth people have a saying that a leopard never changes his spots." Huffer muttered. "I don't know what a leopard is, so I don't get that." Optimus Prime said, "Let's take a vote. All those who say they trust and believe Starscream, say yes." He waited. There was complete silence. "That's settled, then," Optimus decided. "Now, what do we do with him?" Prowl spoke up. "I guess he is here as a spy. He wants to gain our confidence, then report back to the enemy. He will obviously try to lure us into a trap." Optimus added, "Yep, so I guess we play along with him. Let him think we believe his story." He paused, then added, "Even better, let's play him at his own game and invent a false plan that he can send back to the Decepticons and mislead them." And so it was agreed. They all returned to the main part of the Ark, where Starscream was still under the guard of the 6 Autobots. Optimus signaled to them, "It's all right. We believe his story. You can relax now and leave him." Starscream heaved a sigh of relief. "Thank you, Optimus Prime, oh great leader of the Autobots. I am here to obey your commands from henceforth. Optimus could hardly conceal a shudder of disgust, but said, Well, Starscream, you have decided rightly to come over to us. Jazz will show you to your quarters. And as Jazz led the treacherous Decepticon away, Optimus Prime called all the group leaders of the Autobots and told them quickly of their plans, and within moments every Autobot was aware of what was happening. In the privacy of his new quarters, Starscream stood looking into a long mirror and admired himself. He even spoke to himself. You are a born leader, Starscream. Not only handsome, but clever. And that idiot, Optimus Prime, and his equally foolish Autobot followers have swallowed my story hook, line, and sinker. Soon the fun will start. And when the Decepticons have conquered these fools, it will be realized that I, Starscream, was the main factor in the victory. And who knows what honors I will gain when we eventually return to Cybertron. Then he very carefully made sure that he was not observed or overheard in any way, and took out the midget high-powered radio transmitter, which Soundwave had prepared for him. In code, he beamed on the direct frequency. First mission accomplished. And in Decepticon headquarters, they all gloated at the stupidity of the Autobots, and even Megatron was forced to admit, although reluctantly, that Starscream was doing a first-class job of espionage. But Optimus Prime and his team of commanders had no doubts about his deception. They also surmised that, in some way, he was in radio contact with his own race. But this suited them, because, when a suitable moment arrived, they would exploit this for their own purposes. Starscream himself became more and more confident about his position each day, and despised the Autobots for what he believed was their crass stupidity. One day, Optimus Prime called his commanders and Starscream together. He sounded serious. The time has come for us to change our strategy where the war against the Decepticons is concerned. For some time, Prowl and I have been concerned that the Ark here is more vulnerable to attack than we would wish. And as you all know, the new deuterium orbital laser tracing system is stored here, and a severe barrage from our enemy could do untold damage. Starscream was intrigued. And what can this weapon do? He asked. Do, replied Jazz. Do? Only trace any Decepticon warrior, transformed or not, and destroy it within seconds, no matter where? It's the ultimate weapon, Bumblebee added. The end of the Decepticons. Unable to contain his quest for further information, Starscream demanded, Where is it? What does it look like? Optimus looked across at Sideswipe. Show him, he commanded. Sideswipe fetched a metal box some 3 meters long and 2 meters wide. It's in there. He gave it to Starscream, who tried to open it. It's locked, he commented with disappointment. Of course it is, Optimus Prime said, taking it from him. It's not yet quite ready for actual action. Another week's work and your old master and his race will be finished. Prowl interrupted. We've talked enough about DOLTS, but I am worried that it's still here in the Ark and could be damaged. We must get it to a secret hideaway while we finish the last few details on it. Where do you suggest? Huffer asked. Optimus Prime looked tense. We have decided to place it in the cave at Mount Leverum. It's remote, secure, and the Decepticons have no idea at all that we are using it. They could blast the Ark apart, but the DOLTS would still be safely tucked away in the cave at Leverum. The Autobots went back to routine duties, and Starscream hurried back to his quarters. Once there, he excitedly made radio contact with the Decepticon headquarters at the fortress. He reported everything the Autobots had told him, and underlined the absolute necessity to destroy the new weapon. Of course, he also gave detailed instructions of how it would be in the cave at Mount Leverum. When Megatron received the message from Starscream, he held an immediate council of war. Tomorrow we attack that cave, he snapped. We attack with every single weapon we have. Every warrior without exception will be fully armed, and we shall completely destroy Mount Leverum, the cave, and every single thing within it. He laughed. The Autobots will get a shock when they find their wonderful new Decepticon destroyer has been destroyed by the Decepticons themselves. Ravage inquired, What will happen to Starscream? Megatron answered with a cruel expression. I have no doubt that Starscream can look after his own interests. Inform him that we shall attack the cave at 1300 hours tomorrow. And if he has any sense, he'll come back quickly, or else the Autobots may not treat him with kindness. It's up to him. Of course, the moment Starscream received the message, he prepared for his escape. But while all this was going on, Bumblebee, under strict secrecy, was keeping a close watch on Decepticon headquarters. When he saw the sudden activity, it confirmed that Starscream had reported the DOLTS move to the cave at Mount Leverin, and that a major attack on it was being prepared. He reported to Optimus by direct radio link.
All right, so what do you guys think's gonna happen?
DOLTS? Dolts?
Decepticon obliteration? That's...
But it spells dolts?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, how stupid are the Decepticons that they just immediately think the Autobots have made a machine that can target the Decepticons no matter where they are at any time on Earth with some satellite. I'm like, guys, come on. Even you must have science fiction on your planet.
Well, I guess it's not super far-fetched because somehow they can access the whole network of power in the world, like even your cell phone charger. So go figure. Okay. Omniscient power.
Oh, I forgot one thing that was odd earlier is when Starscream is coming to them, not a single person wants to give him a real chance to try to do good. They're like, yeah, we don't trust him at all. It's like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
The way he was trying to convince them was pretty bad.
Let's have a vote of whether anyone trusts Starscream and thinks his story is true. A lone cricket drones from the valley outside.
Or maybe they should have a better plan, like Megatron comes and demands they give him to him because he's a traitor or something. Make him more of a show out of it or something. I don't know. Or not use Starscream because, nobody trusts Starscream no matter what universe you're in.
I'm not understanding. How many days has Starscream been there? They kept talking about it like many days passed.
Yeah.
And he's like doing his daily affirmations in the Autobots mirror. Why do they have a mirror anyway? I don't know. Maybe it's this.
He's like, let me help in your meetings, Optimus. I used to be the treasurer of the Decepticons. Let me help appropriate your funds.
You look like a capable leader. You can do this. You got this, Starscream.
I also was like, why are you talking to yourself in the Autobot base, you idiot? They could have bugs in the room. You need to be putting on an act. Come on, dude. But Thomas, any comments for now? Any predictions? Is this going to be the mountain blows up and all the Decepticons are gone for good?
Gone for good? No.
They didn't plant a hydrogen bomb inside for when they go inside.
I'm trying to figure out what I think might happen. If there's going to be something interesting besides they just blow up a mountain and nothing. It's just dust.
It's just like, we lost. See you next week.
Or there's not going to be really mentioned much. They'll just get some kind of like warning or message from the base saying that the base is under attack and they get back too late or something.
It's just reminded me of when the Decepticons in our other audio story are like, what's this thing called? A lightning rod / antenna. And they go into the mountain and all get electrocuted by themselves without the Autobots doing anything. Do you guys remember that story?
Yep, I remember that one.
Okay. Anyway, we will continue to the end.
He reported to Optimus by direct radio link. Then Optimus called 12 of his warriors around him and sent for Starscream. The crafty Decepticon arrived confidently and still inwardly sneering at the stupidity of his enemies. He asked,
You sent for me, Optimus Prime?
Optimus spoke very quietly. Yes, Starscream. If you look around you, you will see that you are completely fire-covered by 12 of my warriors. If you as much as move a joint or a limb, you will be obliterated by them in a split second. Starscream could not control his astonishment.
Why? He stammered. You know I am your friend.
Optimus stopped him. Friend? Did you honestly think we believed you? Did you really think we were that stupid? And while the Decepticon was trying to recover from the shock, Optimus continued.
Excuse me one moment. Right, everybody. Full action stations. Then he turned back to Starscream. Now, what were you saying, Starscream? But Starscream was speechless. He watched, fascinated, as every Autobot except the 12 guarding him went to action stations. Eventually he muttered, "Oh, what's happening?" Jazz, who was checking up on his photon rifle, answered him. "When your friends attack the cave at Mount Leverum, as they obviously will, following your information, we shall have a little go at your Fortress HQ while it's unguarded." "But what about the DOLTS?" shouted Starscream. "It will be destroyed too, you idiots!" Optimus was just about to reply when Sideswipe rushed in. "Message from Bumblebee. Decepticons all gone in direction of Mount Leverum." Optimus ordered, "Right, everybody, let's go!" So the two great Transformer forces moved, but in opposite directions. The Decepticons unleashed all their firepower at Mount Leverum. Skywarp's heat-seeking missiles, Megatron's own nuclear-charged fusion cannon, Ravage's proton bombs, Laserbeak's laser cannons, and so on, each Decepticon blasting and shooting until the mountain all but disappeared. Triumphantly they returned to their Fortress HQ. But the sight that greeted them there shook them to every nut and bolt. The Autobot force had bombed and destroyed the whole exterior of their fortress. The combined firepower of Jazz, Sideswipe, Optimus Prime, Sunstreaker, and all the others had wreaked utter havoc. It was obvious to every returning Decepticon that they had been outmaneuvered, and that it would take a very long time to repair their HQ, and even longer before they could become an effective force again, capable of challenging the Autobots. As they landed by the burning ruins of their fortress exterior, Megatron was beside himself with anger. "We've been tricked," he stormed. "Tricked by those accursed Autobots. And I shouldn't wonder if this isn't the fault of that conceited idiot Starscream and his messages." After a pause, Skywarp said quietly, "But we must have destroyed the new DOLTS weapon that Starscream reported was in the cave at Mount Leverum." But Megatron just gave him a long, hard look, transformed, and walked towards the ruins. When the Autobots returned from their raid on Decepticon HQ and reported in and assessed the damage they had done, they were well pleased. Optimus Prime said, "I don't think we shall have any bother with the Decepticons for a while. Now we can quietly get on with our work here at the Ark, perhaps the sooner to return to Cybertron." Then he added, "Send for that fool, Starscream." The guards brought Starscream before him and his fellow Autobots, a very subdued Starscream who had just been told what had happened. Gears broke the silence. "Are we going to keep him prisoner, Optimus?" "No," replied the leader. "Let him go back to the Decepticons. That will be even more unpleasant for him when they realize what idiots he has made of them." Starscream was obviously shaken at the prospect, but managed to sneer, "And what about your new deuterium orbital laser tracing system? They got that, didn't they, you fools?" Every Autobot fell about laughing. Eventually Jazz said, "And you believed all that? There never was such a weapon. And before you ask, that box we showed you was empty apart from a few spare motor parts. Now off you go to Megatron and explain everything." And as a dejected, humiliated, even somewhat scared Starscream left the Ark, Optimus Prime called to him, "Hey, you, Starscream! Not only was there never such a weapon as a DOLTS, but did you know that the Earth people have a word spelt that way? Dolts. Means a bunch of idiots or fools. We named it after the Decepticons. Good luck, Starscream. Give our regards to Megatron."
If you're still alive to do so.
That wasn't very honorable.
Actually,
He's already just on his way back home. He's not gonna get a very warm welcome in
I know.
Optimus's life.
He's just gonna arrive. They're gonna be like, "Starscream, what did you do?" He's like, "It wasn't me. It was the accursed Autobots," is how he'll say it. And then Megatron will just turn into a gun and have Soundwave shoot him. Or what I found weird is Megatron was flying as a gun the whole time from the mountain to the base and talking while in gun form at the end.
Yeah, that sounded. Yeah, I was thinking that sounded kind of weird because it said that he transformed and walked away. I was like, oh, he wasn't already in his normal form.
Yeah.
That's weird.
All the other Transformers, they can talk while they're in their vehicle forms, but I don't think I've ever heard Megatron talk while in his gun form, or Galvatron talk when he's in his cannon form.
That just looks too stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they change that form, it's like either to disguise themselves or immediately they're shooting something.
I mean, talking cars are something that it's believable in the human world. I mean, there's Kit, the talking car, there's Herbie, the love bug, it's like, but talking guns, nah.
That really awful cartoon where the kid turns into a car because he got struck by lightning or something.
Oh,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
remember what that was.
Yeah, apparently it only lasted a year. It was a failure. The is it Teen Car? I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say
was a teen
Teen
car.
Wolf for some reason. That reminds me of Teen Wolf, but
Did
I do
Viper
remember that.
What
Did
about
Vipe-
Speed Buggy? Why are we just gonna go past that?
Are you talking about that Speed Buggy
True.
cartoon from the 60s or the 50s that goes
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Oh God.
That was terrible. It was a terrible show.
Okay.
And,
So
and what
we
about
got a lot of talking cars here.
What
Yeah,
what about Lightning McQueen? Like something modern for the kids out there.
Did Viper talk? There was a syndicated 90s show called Viper that was like some supercar. Did that car talk? I gotta find that out.
Seems like
It used to always come
like
on
that's
before the show I'd watched, so I'd always catch the end of it, and I don't remember anything about it.
I don't recall that.
Well, ooh, there it is.
There's a Viper
Okay.
car alarm system.
Yeah, I know, because I always saw that snake try to bite people, but I think this show came out before that. An urban assault vehicle that masquerades as a Dodge Viper that takes place in the near future. It doesn't talk, it's just a supercar by the people. The show was renamed Cobra after the actual Viper car company sued them. Awesome. More lawsuit fun associated somehow through Transformers talk. Somehow that lasted 4 years.
I was pretty surprised that they just went all the way with it. I figured they would blow up the mountain and pretty much level it.
Yeah, I thought they were
But
going to go in
I didn't
and
expect that they wouldn't get a chance to defend their base. Like it was just wiped out.
yeah.
The Autobots just made them homeless.
Now they have to build their base up, and they're like, well, now we don't have to worry about the Decepticons for a few weeks, months, however long. I don't think they sleep, so they could just be working on the base the whole time. So, but yeah, I really like the story though. What did you guys think of it?
That was a true to Transformers story. I can't say so much for the others that we heard, but that yeah, I mean, I like that they played around with the character dynamics that we already know. I mean, we already know about Starscream trying to take over and his usual antics with his wacky plans that backfire, and yeah, I think it's a pretty decent story that could easily translate into a cartoon episode.
I think it was probably one of the worst because Optimus called Starscream adult. I don't like that.
Jeez.
I like how they reiterated at the end deuterium orbital tracing system dolts, stands for. Yeah.
I forgot when I first heard, I was like, oh my god, Windcharger has a line. But then I realized he's actually been in the last 2 books too, but maybe only he got 1 line each story. I mean, not books, audio cassettes. That is weird because he's like never used, like ever in the show. So it's like one of those Transformers that the storybooks tend to like show him sometimes, or other things show him working with everybody more than the actual TV show does.
That's a way to play it safe character wise, because if you use a character that no one ever sees, you can't say, "Oh, you got him so wrong," because he never has any lines anyway.
I wonder if in season 2, Windcharger just vanishes entirely, or if he actually shows up. Because I know they still keep all the season 1 Decepticons Autobots there, interacting with the new ones. But I don't know if there's going to be some forgotten ones now. We'll see. So, Charlie, you like the story?
I think it was pretty decent.
Yeah. Thomas, though, real talk though. Hold on. Let me post a video on YouTube and say we need to talk about Transformers Espionage audio cassette. Because that'll get the views.
It was just okay. It was fine.
I
mean, because it was not really a believable plot in the first place, and then they immediately just have the Autobots say, "Yeah, we would never fall for this, Starscream."
I mean, you want to be more gullible? Just be like, well, sometimes we ought to just, take things at face value. Sometimes we should give people a chance.
Well, no, you don't have to go that far. You can actually put some effort in and like come up with a reason why they would have to work together reluctantly or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll create a third enemy that doesn't really exist.
The slavery of Autobots and humanity, is it enough?
But yeah, actually, I think I snickered or laughed a lot during the second half of the video with all the stupid things that Starscream or the other characters would do. Sad thing is, we are not sure who actually wrote this because there is no credits on the cassette tape. The only thing you could look at is the cassette tape. It'd be easy to search on Amazon. Just type in Espionage exclamation 1 2 3 4 5. Yeah, let's see if it happens. Oh, it doesn't find it.
You didn't type in enough exclamation points.
Espionage. Yeah, all I get is I don't know what the Batman or the Bourne Identity have to do with this, but all right. Play School Transformers? No, not gonna show up.
Play School Transformers?
Yeah, I know. So
does that exist?
Yeah, it does for the smaller kids.
Like,
Charlie,
are they like Duplos? Are they like supersized pieces?
Yeah, I think
or
they're just bigger and less like transformy, or if they are, they're smaller. I do know they make other ones that don't transform for younger kids.
No choking hazards.
Gun that's bigger than your mouth, so you can't accidentally eat it.
My first Transformer.
My first war. Charlie, have you ever seen Transformers Armada?
No, I have not.
Okay. In that one, that came out in 2002, I think, or 2003. That was when, for the first time, I know the previous year, 2000, I think, 1, Hasbro made a new Transformers for the first time. Because Beast Wars was, still considered a sequel. But they made Robots in Disguise 1 year, which is the one with the Shark Poet guy that Thomas likes. That was only a year filler, though, because then they decided to make Transformers Armada, which was part 1 of a 3-part trilogy of shows. But in Armada, Starscream actually does defect to the Autobots. And he defects for real. Like, it's because Megatron uses him as a sacrifice to get some super weapon. And he accomplishes it, but Starscream feels betrayed because his leader left him to die just so he could accomplish the mission. Starscream was basically used to lure the Autobots somewhere where they would then kill him because he wouldn't have stood a chance. So that's why, like, afterwards, he just defects to the Autobots because he's like, I can't trust my leader anymore.
Just can't see Starscream. I can't see him spending a whole bunch of time with bots. That just would be so awkward. Unless both of his legs were missing or something. He's just like waiting to get repaired.
Well, this version of Starscream isn't actually a schemer. He actually is somebody who's just a very good second in command and like good with a sword and flying and all that. And they kind of hint that he's better at weapons than Megatron is, so that he could
Starscream at all.
So they kind of hint that he could potentially be a better leader than Megatron just because he's so good at it. So they changed his personality a little in that one.
Yeah, that's him rewritten entirely.
But it actually is a good one. I actually liked his personality because he's the only one in the whole series, all 50 episodes, that actually has a real personality and a character arc. Like,
Be honest. As a kid, I kind of did sympathize with him for some reason. And I did want him to take Megatron's place.
Yeah. You should, if you feel like it, watch Transformers Armada sometime and see if you like that version of Starscream. So go watch it.
Did we ever talk about the narrator or the voice guy, the voice
I
actor.
think
for
we've brought him
Odo.
up before, but that's him making all the voices, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he is pretty good at making different voices, though. Even
Okay, they're close to the Autobots, I think, enough to be believable.
but the fact that he can do so many different voices, he actually is good at doing different voices.
He has done 22 voices across the series.
How do you know that?
I'm looking at his page. His name is Peter Marinker.
How'd you find that out?
I was looking into trying to figure out who put out the Battle for Earth series. So I guess these set of books are called Battle for Earth. So there's
Yeah.
4 audio cassettes that are included in this set. The guy who does the voice acting and all the characters is Peter Marinker. So I was looking him up. I was looking at some of the other roles that he did. He was
He does freaking Unicron in
he was
the
Godo.
later books.
Kichi Godo and Pat Labor.
Who?
He was Charlie's favorite character, Dr. Ichihara from Angel Cop.
Okay. I haven't even watched Angel Cop yet. Thanks for spoiling it.
Wait, who is he in? Who is he in? Pat Labor?
Ichi Godo? I don't know how to pronounce that.
Keiichi, probably.
Yeah. It wasn't an E,
don't-
so I didn't know.
Oh my
how to
god,
pronounce
he's
K-I-I.
the commander of
Yeah, the
Section
commander.
2.
Yeah, the stern guy. Yeah.
The guy who always appears aloof, but really actually knows what's going on and knows how to get things done.
Yeah. And he actually does some voices in some of the other Lady Bird series of books. So
Okay. Yeah, I can't
shows
remember
up.
if
He's
we...
actually good. It seems like he's pretty good.
Oh no, his website doesn't exist anymore. He's more known for his audio cassette on BBC Radio.
What other audio cassettes has he done? Does it say?
I'm looking at his IMDb page right now, but I was
Okay.
the link to the IMDb was on the TF Wiki page.
Yeah.
But
Any
yeah,
other
he's in
stuff
a
we
lot
know?
of stuff that people would know. Old King Allen and Demon Souls. You guys might not know that, but people will know that one.
Mhm.
He was called Anno 1800. People know that one. He was in Xenoblade Chronicles. So these
And
are
he's the
definitely
narrator in
big.
all the Witcher games.
The Unseen Elder. Yep. Stan Lee's Lucky Man. He was in that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like he does a lot of video game stuff. And
Oh, he was
he's been-
actually in the Judge Dredd movie from 1995. He was one of the judges.
and
Why?
he was in Event Horizon.
Why are all these random people always associated with the Judge Dredd movie?
What is...
Everybody hates
What?
Judge Dredd.
Oh, I know now. That's why I heard his voice. He's in Doomed Megalopolis and Heroic Legend of Arslan. Because I watched Doomed Megalopolis growing up, and that's how I recognized his voice from Pat Labor too earlier.
He does the voice for Goblin in Labyrinth.
Does that mean there's two? Oh my god! Does that mean there's 2 dubs for Doomed Megalopolis? Now I have to go see if my Blu-ray has both, or if I have to go look up both and see if there's 2, like the way Pat Labor had a UK English dub and an American English dub.
And
Because he
Cyber
does
City.
English versions too. Like there he is in Sword of Truth, the actual English version. They specifically say UK dub for a few of these anime. So there's some anime that has 2 separate dubs based on the country.
He's General McKenzie in Golf Force.
Oh, huh.
The UK dub, though.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't even know if that's possible to obtain.
Yeah,
Oh,
Dominion.
he's the Megazone 2-3, the third one. I actually watched that first one, the Megazone
Yeah, I
2,
seen the
3,
first
1. That's all I've only seen the first one. I don't know if I'm going to watch the other 2.
He's in Dominion Tank Police as well.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a whole
Classics.
list of anime for a decade where he just actually is in a lot of anime from the late 80s to the mid 90s. And then
Check
he goes
your,
over in video games.
Check your Central Park Media VHS tapes.
Yeah. Well, now I'm just like, how much anime now does have so many? Because I remember when I got Dirty Pair, it did come. They got the rights and they were able to release it with both the UK dub and the American dub.
Oh my goodness!
But
He
most
was
of the time, they
oh,
aren't able to do that. What'd you say, Tom?
I've never seen. I've seen very few UK dubs. Period. I didn't even know how many existed out there. I just thought they were very rare.
I got. Well, I
Yeah.
had to get 2 because I had to get one for there's two separate dubs for Area 88 that way that I had to get, because only the first one was on my DVD, and then they redubbed it for America because they had used the UK version back in the day and decided to just redub it with an American version when the TV series came out a decade later. And then the Pat Labor, just because I really loved Pat Labor. Since I was watching the movies again, I was like, I've never seen these UK dubs.
All right, we have gone fully off the rails.
Yes.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, and so we'll probably hear his voice as a Transformer in future ones, but I don't know if he is the narrator for...
He was the narrator for all of the Lady Bird books, except Autobots Lightning Strike.
Okay.
And then when were they published?
Well, we'll find out. One of them is our next episode, so we'll see if he's narrating again.
He's going to be narrating as using his Ravage voice.
That one will come with pictures. So,
all right. I like the pictures.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode. This is Sean,
Charlie,
and Thomas.
Sparkcast is a free podcast. If you'd like to help out the show, you can donate to the Patreon for Geekade at GEEKADE. You can also check out my personal Patreon at Realms of Flux. REALMSOFFLUX.